All right there, hey, Darin Garman here, and now we're going to talk about our last video installment as to why multifamily values will go up. And I think they're going to go up dramatically. This is installment number 4. Number 4. Okay, you can talk about my sloppy writing, but, you know, by the way, you're just going to have to live with it because it's about the information, not about the penmanship. Okay? Why is multifamily going to be the best damn investment you can make in the coming years? Despite what you may hear. Because remember, in the first few videos we talked about some of the things you may have heard, some of the reasons why you may have not decided to get involved in multifamily investing, or thinking, why would that be one of the investments to be in? We've covered that in video number 1. Remember, we talked about demand. Okay? Video number 2, we talked about insulation, protection. We talked about that. Video number 3, we talked about place, replacing rate of return. And number 4, we're going to bring it full circle. We're going to talk about that D word again, and that is demand. Okay? That's demand. Well, I can hear you saying, well, Darin, wait a minute. You talked about that in the first video. I did, but we're going to come around the back door with demand. Okay? Let me just paint the picture for you. You are an investor. And let's say you're maybe a pretty sizable investor. Maybe you're a family office. Maybe you have an investment company. Maybe a private equity fund. Maybe a hedge fund. Maybe a real estate fund. Maybe so you've got some capital to use. And you're deciding, maybe your insurance company. You're deciding, where do we deploy our capital? Where should we invest? And you've got all these choices. Well, you've gone over the first 3 reasons on our first 3 videos, and you've seen that. And so you've been thinking, I'm an investor, I want to put my money into something, and I want to get not only a good rate of return, but I'm concerned about place, which what we just talked about. I'm concerned about insulation. I'm concerned about protection. I'm concerned about predictability. And oh, by the way, I'm also concerned about demand from a tenant standpoint, wanting to rent apartments. What am I going to look at as an investor? I'm going to look at owning multifamily. Why wouldn't I? And what you're going to see now is, just like we had the line of tenants going out the door, wanting to and needing to fill out applications, because that line will be getting longer and longer. This is my line of investors waiting to buy and buy and buy more. So in other words, in the same exact way that we're going to see the line of investors growing, the line of tenants growing and growing, we're going to see the line of investors growing too. What happens when demand for something, an investment, when demand is much, much bigger than supply? So we've got all these investors wanting to buy apartment communities, but we've only got a couple of apartment communities for sale. Here are my apartment communities. I got 6 investors, I got 2 apartment communities. And these 6 investors, each one wants to buy those apartment communities. What happens to the value of those apartment communities? You damn right, it goes up. They go up in a big way. So what you're going to see in multifamily, ladies and gentlemen, over the coming years, the demand from investors will now continue to push values and pricing of multifamily communities up and up and up. Why? Because of what we've gone over, right? Because of place, okay? Rate of return is important. They're going to want a good rate of return, but it's been trumped by place, insulation, protection, predictability, and again, the demand from residents out the door and those rent collections. Okay? That's what's going to happen. The biggest cash flow you get as an investor in multifamily is when? Let's talk about that. Biggest cash flow. You're a multifamily investor. So what I've talked about so far has made some sense to you. You're thinking, maybe this multifamily thing is something I need to get more serious about. Whether you're invested in multifamily right now and you think maybe you need to grow your empire a little bit more, all right? Or maybe you need to take that first dive into this and really get into this now because you see what's going on. When's your biggest cash flow? First year you own it? Third year, maybe when operations are going pretty good. And we'll talk here just a minute about being an active owner and a passive owner. Because if you're worried that you don't have the experience, if you're worried that you don't know rental laws, if you're worried you have no experience as a landlord and dealing with all that stuff, you don't have to worry about a damn thing. And I'll tell you why here in just a minute. When's your biggest cash flow? Easy. It's when you sell. That's when you get your biggest cash flow, is when you sell. Right? So, knowing that, the thing that will be pushing up the values will be the demand from investors, all these investors wanting these few apartment projects for sale. That's when you will get your biggest cash flow, possibly of your life. Think about that for a second. Okay, and a lot of that's based on demand from those investors that want to own what you have. And so, by the way, this does not make any difference whether you're an active owner or a passive owner. Okay, let's talk about these for just a second because it's important. Active owner. That's the folks that do their own management, take care of the maintenance, they oversee it, run the day-to-day operation, daily cares of life, they're in it. Okay? Sometimes they may not be in it directly, maybe they oversee a property management company doing that, but they're actively involved in it somehow. Okay? Active owner. Everything I've just talked about applies to an active owner. Passive owner. Passive owner gets all of the active owner benefits, but is not involved in any of the operations. Okay? So they get the same kind of benefits, they get the same kind of treatment tax-wise, they get the same kind of look and feel as an active owner, but they have nothing to do with any of the daily operations, management, landlording, legal, tenant stuff, maintenance, repair, all of that. So, for example, I have a real estate fund that has well over 200 investors, going on 300 investors now, in that one fund, and they're all passive. Why? Because they want all the active owner benefits, but they don't want to deal with the day-to-day stuff. They let me and my team do that for them. Does it matter? Same thing applies to both. Okay? Same thing applies to both. There are people, investors, entrepreneurs, they want to be active. They want to own, manage, take care of, be involved in the day-to-day. And there are some that, frankly, could give a hoot. They don't want to do any of that. They want to own it. They see the results of owning it. They get what I'm talking about here, but they don't want to be involved in the day-to-day. So what do you do? What I've talked about here so far in these 5 videos, what do you do? Whether you're active or passive, what's your first step? Okay. What's the first thing I need to do? So Darin, what you've talked about so far makes a hell of a lot of sense. Okay. What should I do? What's my first step? It's actually pretty easy. Okay. First step is you need to decide whether you are active or passive. Okay? There is no wrong answer. No wrong answer. Do I see myself as an active owner of an apartment community? Large, small? Do I see myself as a passive owner? That's the first decision you want to make. Okay? Step 2, pretty easy. Second thing you do is you contact me and you tell me. Okay, contact Darin. Okay, and it simply goes like this. Hey Darin, I want to be an active owner. Can you give me an idea, or can I look at some active owner apartment community opportunities so I can get a better feel for this? So what you've said so far on all of your videos and in your information makes damn good sense. I need to look into this more, but I want to be an active owner. Can you get me the resources and the information I need to start my quest on being an active owner, possibly? You contact me and I'll do that. Okay? Passive, same thing. Darin, I don't want to be an active owner, but I would love to have access to passive owner opportunities that come up. Whether it's in my own backyard where I live, whether it's somewhere else, I'd really like to have access to passive owner opportunities. Can you help me find that access? Simple as that. So you contact me. Okay? Whether you want to be active or passive is decision number one. You contact me and let me know what that decision is, and then I will get you the information. I'm just going to put info you need to start making informed decisions on getting real serious about this. Now, you may go through this whole process, and at the end of the day, you say, well, you know, I guess this really isn't for me. I don't really think I want to do this. That's cool. All right? And by the way, there is no cost or obligation here. So it's not like, you know, when you contact us, we try to, you know, put some kind of full court press on you. Oh, well, yeah, now we're going to try to use. We're not interested in selling you anything. We're not interested in getting you involved in anything. We leave all of this kind of stuff up to you. I am anti-Wall Street. We don't work that way. We don't have a boiler room full of guys on the phone waiting to sell you shit. That's not what we do. Okay? Active, passive, contact me, you get info, we go from there, so you can start making an informed decision. It is simple as that. Okay? My contact information's everywhere. You've got it in an email, you've got it on my website, you've got it everywhere, so I'm not going to write it all down here and all that. You've got it. Get in touch with us, get in touch with our office, we'll get you this information so you can start making some informed decisions. Look at the possibility of starting building, and maybe growing your multifamily empire to take advantage of, once again, stashing your cash with multifamily, because again, demand, insulation protection, predictability, place now has really trumped rate of return. And by the way, last thing I'll mention here is rate of return, because we haven't talked about that, have we? What's the rate of return? What can I expect? You can expect anywhere from typically 8% to 18% overall returns, depending on what kind of project or multifamily property you get involved in, when you get involved in it, when the property sells. There's some dynamics that go on there, but just to cut through all of the what ifs, to give you an idea, Darin, what can I just kind of expect, just ballpark. I tell people 8 to 18%. Now, think about this. You get that 8 to 18% thing going in demand, insulation, protection, predictability, investment place, and the demand from investors. Can you see why I really think that multifamily values are going to really go up in a big way in the coming years? Yeah. So, anyway, you've got my contact information. Get in touch with me. Remember, you want to decide whether you're going to be an active or passive investor. Remember that? Okay? And you contact me for info on getting the ball rolling on being an active investor or passive investor. Just contact me. My email address is all over the place. Our website information, we're everywhere. So get in touch with us and we will start getting the information that you need to make some informed decisions. All right, thanks for joining me on this. Have a great day. We'll talk to you later. See you.